Strowman came in like a wrecking ball. I don't know the lyrics to the song because I don't tend to listen to pop music. It's not my jam, but I think you'll agree with me when I say that I have a wonderful singing voice. Besides, it suits this episode because Strowman might as well been a wrecking ball with all the havoc he caused throughout the entirety of Raw. Now let's do this thing, shall we? Props to the show for starting off at least a bit different this week, with our GM actually firing Strowman, which I certainly didn't see coming, and Kurt made sure to have 6 security men accompany him to ringside while he made the announcement. The man tried to reason with Braun, but Braun being Braun, he told him, "No, I'm a monster, I can do whatever the fuck I want, and when I want to do it." And Kurt told him, "Nuh-uh, no you can't, you put lives in danger and cost us thousands in equipment damages, so I had to make the tough call and fire your ass." And Braun got pissed, of course, and then he was followed out of the ring area by security, and the whole thing just felt very Stone Cold-esque. How many times was Austin forced out of the arena by police or security after he had said or done something that warranted it? It must have been 100 times, and that's what this reminded me of. It was a great way to start the show, because now you know that Braun's gonna be spending the whole show wreaking havoc wherever he feels like, and I'm sure that's what everyone wants to see. Titus Worldwide took on the Bar again this week in a rematch, and it didn't go on for very long, and Titus Worldwide went over on them again. But they didn't pull it off on their own, because it was Jason Jordan who walked out to distract Sheamus and Cesaro when they pretty much had the match won, but they managed to win again by the classic roll-up when they were busy staring at Jordan on the stage. Rollins then walked out to scold them because lately he's been more of a father figure than Kurt has, so he apparently had a problem with it. I mean, if you have rivals, wouldn't it make sense to want to get at them when you can? Because that's what Jordan did, and I approve of it. Then we go back to Strowman, who was storming around in the arena looking for Kurt's office, and when he found it, he just completely destroyed it, even smashed a nice TV that was mounted on the wall. Kurt luckily wasn't there, although you could guess that maybe he predicted that would happen, and so he stayed out of the room, or maybe he was just away conducting his managerial business elsewhere. Either way, watching someone destroy a room is always fun, especially when it's someone like Strowman who's doing it. Enzo appeared on the show this week to accompany Tony Nese in his match against Cedric Alexander, who was accompanied by Goldust again, so I guess the bad catch from last week wasn't as nasty as it looked. Nese and Alexander had a decent match that saw Alexander winning because duh, by which you had the #1 contender lose on the way to the Rumble towards the championship match, and there was some shenanigans at ringside between Goldie and Enzo, with Goldie mocking his running man shtick, and that was that. It was fine, the crowd didn't seem to be particularly into it. Then there was more Strowman destruction when he headed back out to the stage and stormed over to the announce table, where he got a hold of Michael Cole, and he threw him off the stage and onto the pile of security guards right by it. And because of this, we got a break from Cole's voice for the remainder of the show, because they explained that he was very shaken up by the whole thing, and Tom Phillips took over for him. But before Strowman threw him off the stage, Kurt rushed to try to talk to him and told him that Stephanie McGran rehired him and put him back in the title match, which, let's face it, everybody knew would happen at some point in the night, and then he pleaded for him to leave Cole be, but he didn't listen, of course, so he threw him off. So much for management keeping their wrestlers in check, eh? Oh, and he also flipped over a trailer this week, just in case you'd forgotten that he did the same to an ambulance a little while ago. Totally bought into it. Yes, the man can definitely do that. Asuka took on Nia Jax this week and won because the match was stopped when Nia couldn't continue after getting kicked on her gigantic left thigh while she was on the steel steps on her way to the ring. The match was very physical, as you'd expect when any other woman goes up against Nia because she's so much larger than everybody else on the roster, and Asuka looked like a badass for putting Nia down in a way that she hasn't been put down before. And also, why are we still supposed to buy that Nia is this unstoppable force when she's tapped out a few times by now, and she's lost a good handful of matches by pinfall up to this point? Your guess is as good as mine. The Revival squashed some presumably local jobbers in quick fashion and then proceeded to cut a promo about how the rest of the roster is busy being worried about their social media and playing video games while they had returned to bring wrestling back to what it's supposed to be, and it was awesome. It was a shoot-style promo and definitely one of the highlights of this week's show. Here's to hoping that they continue to make even bigger splashes in the weeks to come, because it would be a shame to waste a tag team as good as the Revival. Elias sang a song again this week, and I guess he probably put down the town's football team or something, but I wouldn't know because I couldn't make out what he said, and I don't care for football, and it got him a shit ton of heat. I don't think anyone else got that big of a reaction the entire night, so that's a testament to how good the man has become. Then he sang another brief song to introduce Miz and the Miztourage. Miz cut another badass promo, and we had the Miztourage take on Reigns in a handicap match. Reigns went over even though there were multiple attempts by Miz to cost him the match, and that was that. The women got thrown together in another meaningless match this week, in which Sonya Deville pinned Sasha, but it meant nothing, it was boring to watch, and the women deserve so much better than this. So much for a good build towards the women's first Rumble. Matt Hardy defeated Heath Slater in another squash match, with Rhino at ringside again, and nothing else happened. No sign of Bray anywhere, no nonsensical rant or shenanigans by Matt, so that was disappointing. Is this boat already losing the wind in its sails? I really hope not. Seth Rollins defeated Finn Balor in the main event match after Jordan helped him by grabbing Finn's feet as he rebounded off the ropes to get at Seth, and Seth ended up pinning him after a vicious curb stomp, which we hadn't seen him do in a long time. So does this mean the move's ban has been lifted? Is he going to use it again from now on? Or is he still going to rely on that shitty knee he uses? Who knows? But what we do know is that this new story between the tag champs and the Balor Club is going to continue, and Seth will probably have more choice words for Jordan next week. And that was Raw this week. Miraculously enough, the show didn't feel 3 hours long this time around. I think it was a good show, and I can't wait to see what next week brings in the 25th anniversary edition. What did you think of this week's Raw? Leave a comment, subscribe if you like this, and if you really like this, consider supporting the show on Patreon. But until then, this was this week's Raw 20 by 20, and I'll catch your ass here for this week's SmackDown episode.